Hi, we're here with Alex Ross Perry and Jason Schwartzman, whose film Listen Up, Philip premiered here at the Sundance Film Festival this week. Thanks for talking to the playlist.
Thank you for talking to us.
Should we look at the lens or you?
You can look at me.
Okay.
That's fine. Congratulations, the movie's fantastic. Everyone's talking about it, and I'm saying that Jason's never been better. I don't know if that's, I don't mean that to be an insult. It's like you're just great in the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, people are freaking out.
Yeah, they are. How'd the two of you meet?
Okay. I didn't meet Jason until we wrapped the movie.
What do you mean?
He came to New York and he was Philip.
Really?
Yeah. He'd never done method acting before, but to spend 8 weeks in character was new for you.
Yeah, I changed my email address and everything.
Did you really?
Well, he got rid of it because Philip lives in the world without computers, so he didn't have any.
I got rid of it.
Unreachable.
Oh.
I was unreachable.
It was pretty intense because I would have questions for Jason, what's it like to be Jason's friend? He was like, Jason's not here.
Yeah.
That's 8 weeks of misanthropy.
I didn't. I only just met Alex, and he's great. Actually, that's not true. We met briefly before the movie started. We had dinner together and we got along. Then I met him after the movie, and he seemed like it was, it seemed like it went well. And it's funny that I saw you right before and after. It was like perfectly bookended.
Yeah, because that entire period in the middle was just Philip.
Yeah. I was on vacation.
No, but the script was enough to get you to the dinner.
Yes.
And to agree to do the movie.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about that. So, Alex, where did this all come from?
No,
that's fine. That's fine. It's like you just spewed every kind of misanthropic, anxious, self-loathing thought you've ever had into Philip.
Oh, I assure you, I've had plenty more.
Okay, I'm a little worried about your outlook on life right now, but
it's not that so much as I would put things in the script as either wish fulfillment, like, oh man, one day I'm going to give, this is exactly how I'm going to give it to someone when I get to this point, or I put things in the script where I was like, man, I feel this tendency growing in me, I need to write this down and make these characters do it so that I don't make myself do it. I think there's something cathartic about that, and if there's comedy in the film, I think it comes from the fact that people most likely see these things happening, they relate to them, they're like, I felt that way before. I've never said those things because I'm a civilized person who lives in this world, but watching this guy unload all these thoughts that we all want to say is quite amusing to me. Now I can laugh because I feel safe because this is a problem that we all have.
I think that's where so much of the laughter came from in the audience for sure. That's what you just, you recognize all these things.
No, I definitely felt that, like in the opening scene, for instance, when he's kind of unloading on his ex-girlfriend Mona, I remember thinking while we were shooting it, wow, I'm really not letting her talk. And oftentimes like a discussion like that does have a sort of back and forth, but this is really just to kind of push this person on the ground and don't let them get up. And it was odd to do that because obviously I've argued with people, but when you do, there is a sort of, right?
Yeah, I mean,
back and forth a little bit, and so this just felt like
not getting a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
And do you think that's what sets Philip off? What do you think he's like before we see him do that?
If I had an idea on that, there'd be another scene at the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, he's probably a simmering cauldron of rage ready to boil over. And I think we start his story at exactly the minute where that cauldron starts to boil. Because, we talked about Philip as being like you look at this movie like something, say Scarface, where that very first scene, Philip gets his first taste of this illicit material. By the end of the movie, he's just drugged out of his mind and completely overwhelmed by this thing that he shouldn't have tried in the first place. He lets the demons in. He decides to be this kind of a guy, and he's just like, I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to try being this kind of a guy. And then he's just like, this is the best feeling in the world. I could go all night. This is amazing. And at the end of the movie, it's like, wow, see, that's what happens when you do drugs.
Yeah. When by the end of the movie, it's his natural instinct. In the beginning, it's just something he's sort of toying with, and I think in the end, it becomes his reflex.
Yeah, habit.
Yeah.
What did you think when you first read the script? Did it come to you fully formed, or did you come on board earlier?
Did the script come to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the script.
Okay.
And, it was an amazing experience reading it, because I remember reading like 30 pages and feeling like this is a miserable person, this character, and in an extreme point, in an extreme low. And I kind of put it down for a second. I was like, I feel strange. I can't believe he said that to that person. I played with my daughter for a second. I was like, I gotta take a second. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm going, what's going on over there with that guy? You know, and it's very, like, it just pulls you. It's very like, it was such a great script to read, and it, also I like, you know, we get to spend time with each. Hey, how are you?
Oh, Elisabeth Moss, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but you get to spend like time with these characters, with my ex-girlfriend played by Elisabeth Moss and Ike Zimmerman, who's
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Girlfriend. Yeah, I say girlfriend too. Sorry. And Jonathan Pryce, Ike Zimmerman, and you were saying that you timed it, and each person gets about roughly 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Without even doing it on purpose.
I mean, the script
he
was
went
different.
back and timed it.
Scenes got cut out and scenes got reordered, but from the minute where I consider that Elisabeth Moss becomes the protagonist of the movie, to the minute that I think that Ike Zimmerman becomes the protagonist of the movie, and then from there to where Philip becomes the protagonist, her segment and his segment are 20 minutes and 40 seconds and 20 minutes and 45 seconds.
Wow. And that wasn't planned. That just kind of.
It was. I mean, the script, I'm sure, was roughly equal, but that is
Right.
pretty mathematically sound. And you know, there's a scene at the beginning and end with Philip in it, so it's confusing who that is. But in my mind, they're very equal, and I think there's something really challenging in that I wanted to try. That hopefully people feel like is an interesting way to do a film.
But that's what when I read the script, that's like it was interesting to read that a script in that style, because you really.
So you can skip over huge parts of it.
Yeah. Took me 30 minutes to read the script. No, it really felt like anything could happen, and that was it was so great to read. And then, you know, when I met Alex, I just knew instantly that we were gonna get along and go have a fun time making a movie.
Is that how you pick your movies? Do you think about the director, the script? I mean, those are the two key, I'm assuming.
Yeah, a lot of I mean, you can't. I guess you don't always have the luxury to spend a lot of time with the director and the writer, but I mean, I think to me, like, all the time you can spend with someone is like the most important thing. And so, like, when I met Alex, I was so excited because I was like, I can't wait to come to New York early and spend time with this person and go see movies with this person and go on walks with this person and make this movie with this person. And yeah, it had a lot to do with why I did them. I mean, absolutely, a lot of it.
So how did you unlock the character? Was there anything you had to do for that, or was it? I mean, you're an actor, you act, but was it?
Unlock the character. Well,
you thought about Marlowe, right?
Huh?
Can you say you based on Marlowe's behavior?
Well, there was I based this entire character on my kid, on my daughter. No, but I did think that Philip is just like. I think one thing about him is like he's got like I think like if you could almost do it like in a jokingly high expectations, like so everything is somewhat of a disappointment, and then make him very impatient, and then sprinkle a little old curmudgeonly man, and then a 2-year-old. I think that has a lot to do with like he's stubborn, and you can't win, and he's grumpy. I think a little grumpy, and so. But the key, I don't know, like Alex said so many great, it was, you know, so great to be directed by him. He said every chance that Philip, if he's presented a choice between making the right decision and the wrong decision, he'll always make the wrong decision. And I think that, like, you know, just getting into that frame of mind, like, just what is the wrong thing to do in every situation, that's the path to go down with this character. It was really like, and it's not... Like, I don't think it's human nature to do that. Like, that's anti-survivalist sometimes. Like, sometimes it's your nature is to do the right thing, keep everything good. But, you know, other times your instinct is to go
off the rails.
Every man, you know, each man on his own. But I think that, like, talking to Alex, like, I would say, like, sometimes, like, I don't know, like, isn't he concerned about this? No, it's like, no. He doesn't care about that. No, he's thinking about that. And just, like, getting it lean. Like, that was the thing, like, I tend to like overthink things, or especially socially, like about saying the wrong thing or what. And Alex just like kept it lean, just like focus on these things, focus on these decisions, saying these types of things. And I think like that kind of, you know what I mean, that kind of thing was amazing. And also like just being able to talk to people like this was fun. And I describe it as like, you know, in my personal life, say like you're driving like an electric car, and then to play Philip was like getting to borrow a Ferrari for a couple of months and just getting to like just like floor it.
When we were in New York,
you know what I mean? Just like rip into people, and it started to happen in like my normal life.
Yeah. When we were in New York, you said we'd meet up later in the day, and you'd be like, yeah, you know, I was walking around this morning, and like I was just like thinking, like Philip thinking, and I was just like, God, these people are just everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're in my way. Like I went to order something and took them forever, and I just wanted to like scream at them and tell them I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's really never my instincts to do that, but like I'd read the script again this morning, and I'm out getting a smoothie, and I'm just like, just want to yell at them and be like, what's taking so long? Like,
or like I remember we were walking one time, and we were just like walking on the street, and I just saw someone in the corner, and my instinct was to reach in my pocket and take out my keys and throw them at them. And that's not like something I normally would do, but I think we spent, you know, every day before we even shot this, like a month almost together, just kind of like basically meditating and marinating in these kinds of herbs. You know, just this kind of like thing that
it's hard to divorce. Yeah.
This person had a fanny pack or an absurd haircut.
Both.
There was just something so obnoxious about it. It was I don't know.
Yeah.
I do remember that really well, but I don't remember what the person was.
Yeah, I just remember they were leaning against a wall in a way that drove me nuts.
Oh no, it was like a guy wearing a halter top drinking a smoothie.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, he deserved to be taken out.
Yeah.
He deserved to be put to the ground. Although I didn't do it. 10 minutes later, I'm walking out with my own smoothie. Goodbye.
In your halter top?
Walks out, this guy says, hey, Jason, huge fan. Oh, thank you so much.
So there's a lot of influences on display in the film. I think it feels, you know, there's Cassavetes, there's Woody Allen, there's Sidney Lumet. Just feels like those great kind of 70s with the palette, the flat camera and the palette and the music and the narration.
Oh, it's okay. Do you use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, come over. Yeah, absolutely.
And you just made the city come alive too. I mean, it feels like the Brooklyn where I live. You know, there's a lot to it. So, who do you consider to be your greatest influences? And are those homages deliberate or conscious?
Right. Well, my greatest influences would just be filmmakers who, throughout their career, are consistently excellent. I mean, I could say who those are, and I would say something like Brian De Palma or Paul Schrader. Now, I don't know if that's evident in this film, but to me, it's like these are my biggest influences because they really never make a misstep, or very rarely make a misstep, no matter what they're doing. Not to say someone could ever possibly make the argument that there's any De Palma in this film, but he is cinema to me, and I'm never not thinking about him. But you know, Paul Schrader is such a titan to me, and I do feel like, you know, everything I've ever written is in some way part of the Paul Schrader world of the lonely individual, the one person against everything. And his themes, you know, everything he's ever written and directed or written for someone else basically is that, and it's never failed to touch me deeply because he's just so good, and he's just explored the same theme 30 times over the last several decades, and he's just a king. And but you can think about 100 things when you've seen a lot of movies, but for this, you know, you just have to get to the point where you're narrowing it down, because if you want to be influenced by and talk about 50 movies, you can't ask people to look at 50 movies. You really need to know what you want. You need to know what you're looking for. And, you know, Woody Allen, narratively, the milieu, yes, perhaps. What I really took away from him was the way that Husbands and Wives is shot. I mean, me and Sean, our cinematographer, put that movie on. Don't even need the volume. And just the camera work in Husbands and Wives is from another universe of cinema that 22 years later is still not something we've ever caught up with. It is from a world beyond our comprehension, and there's some magic happening in that film. And you know, forget about all the themes of his movies and the comedy. That alone is what we were looking for. Now everything else, of course, is part of our fabric. Is, you know, people who live in a world with film, because of course he's in the DNA, and
right.
It's unavoidable, but that aspect of that film specifically could not have been more essential to this film. And of course his New York of the 80s in early 90s New York. I just wanted that brown, dignified New York of people who read and no one's watching TV and no one's on their phones. And, I just fetishize it. And then, we watched this...
and then there's that restaurant with the zebras. Is that Gina's or what is that restaurant?
That is a bar in Park Slope called the Fifth Estate that happens to have that wallpaper.
Okay, because that's from like Woody Allen movies back in the day. Like he used to use those.
Yeah, I mean that's a coincidence.
Okay.
That's a restaurant. That's a bar that's 3 blocks from my house that my buddy knows the owner. We got to film there and we were like, hey, there's that wallpaper. And we watched Maurice Pialat's We Won't Grow Old Together, which is a French film from 1972 about
big influence.
Documentary filmmaker and the relationship he has with this woman, and takes place over a similarly nebulous period of time as Listen Up Philip. And just the movie has no relationship with chronological storytelling. There'll be a scene where people are screaming and grabbing each other by the lapels, and then it just cuts in the middle of a fight, and the next scene they're just walking on the beach holding hands. And the way that the narrative is examined in that film, and the look at artistic strife between people who are trying to be in love is amazing.
And it really blew my mind too, like watching it, because like I'd never seen it, and I loved, like, how Alex is just saying, like, so many movies, there's one scene that we cut to other characters for a little bit, but in this scene you have just a constant scene after scene of the same people fighting, then happy, then fighting, but it's progressing, but it's really small worlds, and time moves in a way, like he was just saying, it's nebulous, and I feel the same. Like, you watch Listen Up Philip, and they're in a fight, and then the next day Philip's walking down the street, and it could be like the next day, or it could be like 2 weeks later. And I like that.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one who could explain how much time passes in between scenes, because I know, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys.
I appreciate it.
It's
really
great.
nice.
Thanks.
Cool.